Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into the Big Friday Kickoff podcast. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Ristanio, my right-hand man, my sports producer.
There we go.
Jack of all trades, man of many hats. We are back for episode 9 of the Big Friday Kickoff podcast, and I think that here in week 9, we've started to gain some viewers. And we just want to give y'all a shout out for listening to the two of us amateurs come on here and do this thing. We're still very new at it, but we have enjoyed it so much getting to cover every team from top to bottom, 7A through 1A. It's just been a blast. So we just want to thank you guys before we get into this.
Yeah, this was kind of the first week. We got some numbers back on listeners and how people were doing, and we got some personal feedback, which we can talk about here in a little bit.
You guys like us.
Yeah, very, very cool. You know, especially it's nice to see it keep growing, and I think that that's what we've done. And now we're hitting the fun part of the season where it's, you know, we see the playoff picture. We know most of the playoff teams. We're just trying to figure out the order right now at this point.
I can't believe we only have 3. Like, we have this week, next week, and then the last week of the regular season. And then the last week of the regular season, a lot of people are on a bye.
Right.
So we have really 2 weeks left of, like, really good matchups, and we're going to get some playoff seeding, that playoff picture painted more clearly.
Yeah, and that very last week, you know, we can talk about it more when we get towards that week, but like you said, teams are either on a bye or we have these weird games like Viger versus Baker, you know, which are fun, but
non-region matchups. It really doesn't.
Right.
It's a good test to kind of round out your season, but no really playoff implications
Sure.
unless we are in a tiebreaker situation where there is the potential for that in some of these regions here or in some of these classes here in Region 1.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start with 7A. Start with our Big Friday kickoff game last week. I think that was one of the more notable games of the week in Region 1, MGM taking on Fairhope. MGM pulled it out at the end, 28-21, but Fairhope was giving them everything they could handle for a lot of this game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Hustlin' Hal Sherrick, number 1, did a great job covering this game. He really gives you more than just the highlights.
I called it our Big Friday kickoff game. That was not our Big Friday kickoff game.
I didn't even notice.
Right, yes. That was our Hustlin' Hal. He was out there. Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to give him a shout out because he does such a good job. Dacian as well. I mean, they go out wherever we send them on the road. We send them all over the place, and they always bring you the best. It's more than just highlights. It's the story of the night, and I think that this one was a really big story because obviously MGM being the number 1 team in 7A Region 1, undefeated, going up against a very hot Fairhope team that has done really well, and I'd been saying it that I didn't feel like they had really been tested yet. I think their biggest test was the Theodore game.
Sure.
But in this one, I'm on board now. I'm seeing it. I understand. I think that Fairhope they have surprised me. 7A across the board, all the teams this season have really surprised me with just like what they've brought to the table and the improvement from last season to this season. And I'm just really impressed by Fairhope and how they did in that game. Of course, MGM did get the win. It was a close one. I remember coming in at halftime. I'd been out shooting a game, came back in. I look at all those scores cold, and I remember it popping up on the screen. And y'all can't see it because we're off the screen, but I was just like,
yeah.
It's just, you love that, though.
Sure.
I love a close game.
Yep.
I love it when you just don't know how it's going to happen and things get down to that final play in the fourth quarter, seconds on the clock. Like, a turnover could change the entire game. Anything like that.
Yep.
So, really impressed by Fairhope and what they've done so far. And, of course, MGM still rolling right along in 7A.
Yeah, I mean, one player in particular to shout out, Cameron Smith. I mean, he had, 75 receiving yards, 119 rushing yards. I mean, he was kind of the engine of their offense, which he's kind of been all season, And on the flip side, Andres Hunt, 144 receiving yards, had 20 kick returning yards. I mean, that's kind of been the go-to receiver for Trey Gardner and the Fairhope offense all year. So it was just really cool to see Fairhope be in this game. And like you said, I think this Fairhope team's legit. I mean, they've got the third best scoring defense in 7A right now. Their offense is right around 11, I believe. And, like the other 7A playoff teams in Region 1, just really good quarterback play, really good defense. You go down the board, Jeremy Menhennet, Christian Seeger at Daphne, Trey Gardner at Fairhope, Tate Graham at Baker. Like, this is a region of quarterbacks. Now, How that translates to the postseason, I don't know. That's always been the question with 7A Region 1. But
we know how difficult it is in the postseason for 7A teams from down here because you're going up against teams like Central Phoenix City, Hoover, Thompson. I mean, you're going up against the best of the best in the state, and I think that Daphne, Fairhope, and MGM, just the way that they're playing this season, the way that they look, I have hope. I really do have hope. But we're not going to know much until we see how the first round of the playoffs goes. I think we can probably confidently say that the 4 teams that are going are likely MGM, Daphne, Fairhope, and Baker. But,
I think that is solidified.
So we can say confidently they're going.
Yes.
But what we can't say confidently is who's going to be seated where.
Exactly.
So still a lot of I know there's only 3 weeks left, but still a lot of football left to be played. So it's going to be interesting to see how 7A Region 1 plays out.
Yeah, no doubt. And, this is a big week, not to jump ahead, but, we can touch on those other teams real quick. Daphne beat Alma Bryant last week, 39-0. No big surprise there, I don't think, for anybody. And Baker, our actual Big Friday kickoff game last week, took care of Foley 41-9. The only other matchup in 7A was Davidson beat Robertsdale 15-14. But this is going to be the week. You get MGM Baker and Daphne Fairhope. These are your 4 playoff teams all going head to head.
This is the week if you're keeping in touch with 7A, if you're like a 7A school, 7A opponent, this is the week that you're looking for. This is the week that some things are absolutely going to be decided. And that's a big reason why these 2 games are big feature week games for us.
Right, for sure, yeah. So, we're going to learn a lot about the order this week. If Fairhope will wrap up the season with Daphne and Baker. Baker has already lost to Daphne. They will play MGM this week. MGM should be favored in that game. And Daphne's already lost to MGM. And beat Baker. So you could see where, if Fairhope beats Daphne and Baker beats MGM and, you get all these kind of moving parts or whatever. But I think this week, this will set the playoff picture, essentially,
I think that the Fairhope Daphne game is going to be a lot closer than the MGM Baker game.
I agree.
I'm just thinking that based on what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, don't get me wrong, Baker did what they had to do against Foley, but Foley missed a lot of players. They weren't at their peak strength.
Right.
So I just feel like that was just kind of like an easy rollover type game. This is going to be the real test. This week is the real deal. These 2 games between Fairhope Daphne and Baker MGM, this is huge. The implications, this week is going to tell us so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think if I had to put my money on anything right now in 7A, it would be I would say MGM is going to finish first, and I do think Baker finishes 4th.
Yeah.
How Fairhope and Daphne go, I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, but I think Fairhope beats Baker in the final week, and I think MGM beats Baker this week. So, I think that puts them kind of firmly in 4th place.
If you would have told me, if that was not our thought at the beginning of the season, so it's just crazy how things transpire and what changes. And I think that Daphne and Fairhope, their quarterback play is better than what I anticipated.
Right.
I feel like we just didn't know enough because Christian Seeger coming in as the transfer, being the backup to Aiden Schamberger last year. What do you really get to see of him on tape? What do we really know? What stats? And then this is the first year Trey Garner is getting to start at Fairhope. Both of these kids are juniors. It's just we're getting a better sample size from them, so we have more to go off of. So we didn't have that at the beginning of the season. So that's just goes to show you how much changes, especially when you have this modern day era of high school football.
No doubt.
With the transfer portal, kids coming in and out, you really don't know what you're going to get until you get a good sample size of games. And here at week 9, I'd say we got a pretty good sample size.
Yeah, we do. I agree. So, I don't know if there's much to say else about 7A, considering we know who our playoff teams are, right? Everyone else, Davidson plays Foley and Alma Bryant plays Robertsdale. Those games are ultimately inconsequential for the postseason, at this point. Although if, Robertsdale beats Alma Bryant this week, that they'll be 4-5 on the season. Like, they're pushing their way towards 500. I think that would be interesting for the Golden Bears.
When's the last time that Robertsdale had a record like that?
It's been a while. I think 3 games is the most they've won in a season since like 2000 or something crazy like that.
Shout out to Robertsdale.
Yeah,
on the come up.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Let's see here. Let's see what they're. Yeah. So okay. Well, they won 4 games in 2020, I guess, and then 4 games in 2013. So it's happened a couple times. In this century, but yeah, this would be their most since 2020, so that'd be good for the Bears, right?
Maybe we might not see them in the postseason this season, but keep an eye over the next few seasons. I mean, they got that first year head coach, and the quarterback is his son, Cub Jones.
Jones, yeah, he's been lighting it up.
So just Robertsdale might be a sleeper to keep an eye on over the next couple seasons, folks. You heard it here first.
That's right. There you go.
We report, you decide.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So. Let's move on to 6A, the craziest, hardest region to figure out, and it has been all season, obviously. Saraland with probably the most impressive win in this region last week, beating St. Paul's 42-10.
Yeah, just a completely different game this season than what it was last season. I mean, you remember that Saraland St. Paul's game was so much closer. I think it was a 1-score game the year before. And this is one that I anticipated to be close.
Right.
When I saw the score for this one at halftime, I was like,
Yep.
Wrong again.
Right.
But, I think it just goes to show, like, Saraland is just elite. Cream of the crop, tip of the top. They're 6-0. They're gonna lock up that number 1 spot in 6A Region 1. I could definitely see Saraland winning the 6A state title this season. They just Jeff Kelly knows what he's doing. He knows ball. He's been coaching there. This is his 15th season at Saraland. I mean, his recipe for success, it is working. They look great. Jamison Roberts at quarterback. I mean, we've talked about it every week, but I think it just goes to show he's comfortable now. He's taken over that spot for KJ Lacey, kept this team rolling. If there were any doubters for Saraland, I think that they've been silenced because you do the damage they did to St. Paul's this past week. I mean, they still haven't played Theodore. So
correct.
That's one we're going to have to keep an eye on. But so far, I mean, it looks like the Spartans can't be stopped.
Yeah, they've taken care of everybody they've played. I think their closest game was week 1 against Jackson with no E.J. Crowell. But, outside of that, I mean, they have just been absolutely destroying the rest of these teams in this region. I
think they heard me talking at the beginning of the season.
They probably did,
I think they did.
But Jamison Roberts, I mean, he's so much more of a dual. He's using his legs so much more than I remember KJ Lacey using his legs, And Deshaun Spencer is just one of the best players in the state.
Superstar.
Like,
an
unbelievable.
Absolute superstar. He's just been I don't even know how to put it into words. I can't even speak right now. He's just, he is lighting it up.
Yeah.
Looks incredible. Can't be stopped.
Yeah.
That Spartans offense and defense, they're just doing damage.
Yeah.
They're out here
and
slaying giants.
I continue to give credit to that Saraland defense. It's so easy to talk about the high potent offense and everything that they bring to the table. They're only giving up 6.7 points a game, And so even if you are just really moving the ball and running up the score on teams, like, good teams get garbage points against those kind of teams, and they're not even giving that up, So I just think they're as well-rounded as they have been any recent year under Jeff Kelly,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm sniffling over
here. I was going to say, Emily's sick this week, guys, so she
oh my God.
She's trying to keep it together.
I really am, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm so sick. So I'm trying to, keep in every sniffle right now because who wants to sit here and listen to a sniffly person for an entire podcast? Nobody does. So y'all just bear with me. Give me some grace.
And unfortunately, I have to, make eye contact with her, and I can tell when she's really holding it in because she gets this weird grin on her face.
Because I'm suffering. I'm like, I really need to sniff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've got my tissues over here. Anyway, so yeah, just bear with me. I'm sick, but no days off. We're here.
That's right.
Talking about 6A football.
Talking about 6A.
So let's move on. We've got some other important matchups in 6A.
Well, yeah, and I just real quick, I think the second biggest game last week from a region playoff picture standpoint was Gulf Shores beating Spanish Fort. I think this puts Spanish Fort in risk of missing the playoffs this year. There's a lot of things that need to happen, so I don't know if it's really worth breaking down the whole playoff picture with them. But they essentially would need to beat St. Paul's, who they closed the year with.
Yep.
And take care of McGill, who I believe is that they don't play this week, right?
St. Paul's and McGill play this week.
St. Paul's and McGill play this week.
At St. Paul's.
That's right. So McGill needs to win one of St. Paul's or Spanish Fort just to have a shot, I think, at a playoff spot.
I think the best shot they have is the Spanish Fort game.
Right. So there's a lot of things that need to happen, but the biggest thing is Spanish Fort just needs to take care of McGill, and then when you get to that last week with St. Paul's, it'll depend on what's happened with Gulf Shores, because Gulf Shores does have the tiebreaker. Well, Gulf Shores has the tiebreaker against them, but they end with Baldwin County and Murphy, so I don't think that... I think Spanish Fort's going to have to win out, which is going to be a tall task.
That's a tall order.
Yeah.
That's one that the waiter's looking at you like, are you I think the the gas is broken in the kitchen back there.
Right.
Oh my god, I can't laugh too much. My nose is running.
But yeah, so looking at that, I think Saraland and Theodore are firmly in the playoff picture. St. Paul's and Gulf Shores, assuming St. Paul's beat Spanish Fort, they will both own the tiebreaker over Spanish Fort and McGill, I believe. It's so convoluted. There's so many pieces.
And then you get into that tiebreaker situation like we did last year.
Yes.
And it's just...
I do think ultimately, though, it will be Gulf Shores and St. Paul's in the 3 and 4 spot, traveling, as a road playoff game. Whether whether one's 3 and one's 4, I'm not sure, but I do think it'll be Saraland and Theodore, those top two, hosting playoff games this year in 6A Region 1. And looking at this week, Theodore Gulf Shores, I think this is going to be a good game.
I think so. I'm going to go out and shoot it.
Yeah, you get to go out to this one.
Yeah.
These are two, physical teams. Theodore likes to run the ball. Gulf Shores has a balanced offense, but it's not an explosive offense. Their defense is really kind of their calling card. So how they go up against this Kendrick Abel-led Krishan Overton offense that's just going to be very run heavy, very big, very physical. I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Gulf Shores looked really good against St. Paul's in their game.
They did.
This past week. It was just, that one was close. It was, 27-23?
Yes.
I think was the final score in that one.
So.
It was closer than I expected. And if we remember the Theodore St. Paul's game, that one came down to, Theodore came back and won in that one 42-41. So,
right.
These teams are all playing each other so close, and which is why we get into someone beat someone that they weren't supposed to, and then we get into this tiebreaker situation. I feel like 6A out of all the classifications has the most chaos, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
It's entertaining every week. It could go either way.
And that's what happens when you have these 9-team regions, and when it's not just 9 teams, but like 7 really good teams,
Exactly.
that would make the playoffs in most other regions. You get all this chaos, and it gets to the point to where it's just kind of hard to sort through as you move through the season.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on to 5A, I think this is the biggest matchup of the week.
Huge.
And I don't think it's close.
I don't think that any other game can even touch it.
No.
We've got number 1 Viger taking on number 2 Williamson. And this is going to be such a big game that they are playing it at Lad Peoples Stadium.
Yes.
I'm telling you, people are going to show out for this one like never before. This might be the biggest game of the year across all classifications. I can't compare it to other games up north and middle of the state because I don't know that well enough. But I'm telling you, down here, fans are going to be showing up. And the stadium's going to be packed, I think. As much as you can pack Lad with 2 different high school communities, 2 different programs. I think that Williamson, I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I went out and shot the Williamson UMS game. Oh, on Friday. Yeah, okay, so I wouldn't have talked about this last week. I went out and shot the Williamson UMS game at Williamson. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah.
In UMS's first 3 possessions, it was turnover, 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 because that Williamson defense is so good. So good. They put on a masterful show. I mean, it was you couldn't write it up better. Like, they are just so that's an electric defense. One of the best defenses in the state. I've said it before. All classifications. I mean, before the game, you hear people on the sidelines talking about this defense.
Yeah.
It is like the hot topic. It's what everyone is talking about. I mean, I'm standing there on the sidelines with other people from other, radio, magazine, whatever, other networks and whatnot, and that's what everyone is talking about is the Williamson defense. Like, the other team isn't even really, talked about. It's the Williamson defense, and they put on an absolute show against UMS, right? That chaos on grass, Sam Williams chaos on grass, it was calm. There wasn't any chaos. It was settled. The seas were calmed. No waves. It was a sight to see, and I do think that Viger's going to be their biggest test, but I could see Williamson beating Viger this week, and then Williamson's going to take that number 1 spot in the state.
Yeah, I mean, I think the winner of this is very solidly the number 1 team in 5A in the state. And, you talk about that Williamson game, that's a good UMS team.
Yeah,
you know
they're
what
not
I mean?
bad.
That's going to be...
That will be a playoff team.
Yeah, they're going to be the 3 seed here in Region 1. And, I mean, I can't remember when they got to 10 in this game, but I feel like it was 30-something to 3 at one point, and then they...
Yeah, it was looking questionable.
Yeah.
You would have thought when I left, I was like, uh-oh.
Right.
This is, I've just never, you don't really see that with UMS. UMS has had some losses over the years, but you don't see them just getting
dominated,
blown out.
Yeah.
Or shut out, for that matter. And not that they got shut out this game. I'm just saying, that UMS is not a team that historically gets dominated ever. And it looked early on in this game that Williamson was absolutely dominating them. I mean, Max Fowler just couldn't really get anything going on offense, and then they really relied on him to use his legs, and that was how they got majority of their first downs, is because he was using his legs. And you have to be able to run the ball well in high school football, and it just seems like things were not working the way that I think UMS intended early on.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that UMS intended early on. Williamson just had answers for everything. That defense was there.
Yep.
It's almost like they had the playbook. They knew what was coming. They're just... I've never seen a high school defense play like this. I really haven't. It's something to see. If you haven't seen it in person, I don't care who you're a fan of, go out and watch them play. And this week is a perfect example of a game to go watch. It is going to be cinematic.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, and the defense deserves as much praise as they're getting. No doubt. I mean, just looking at these numbers right now,
it doesn't take away from what their offense has done. If you want to talk some about that,
yeah, I was about to say. I mean, their offense has been really efficient all season. I mean, Alvin Dinkins in this one, 15 for 21, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. They ran the ball 29 times for 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. Todrick Withers led that kind of ground game. And they're spreading it around, Robert Lucas, John Austin, Jacob Massey, Keith Donald. They've got weapons, and they're using all of them.
Yeah, it's not like they're just using one guy like we see typically in high school football most of the time. They have that one standout superstar. It's not like that on Williamson. I remember writing my shot sheet and going back over my highlights, and it just seemed like every touchdown was a different kid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. This is the thing. I can't even keep up with who got what touchdown at what point in the game. But I know there was one where Alvin Dinkins threw the ball into the end zone. I mean, literally, I've never seen. This was some DK Metcalf get up high type thing, and he went up to grab it, and I think it was Perry Hand that just, hard hit. Brought him down in the end zone so hard, but he held on to the ball and got that touchdown, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much talent on the field, but Williamson is just leaps and bounds ahead of anybody else right now, and I think that Viger's just going to be their best test of the season. It's really going to let us know kind of where they're at, but I can say with some confidence, if I had to pick somebody, I'm picking Williamson this week.
Yeah, so Viger beat Faith Academy last week 47-0. Week before that, Alberta 49-0. Okay, you should beat those teams,
Yeah, it shouldn't
easily.
even be close.
By week before that, and then the prior 2 weeks were UMS and Citronelle. They beat UMS 39-26, beat Citronelle 33-21, and that took 2 touchdowns in the last few minutes of the game to beat Citronelle.
Williamson, on the other hand, I know you're about to say it.
Williamson, they haven't
had a close game, have they?
They've had 42-0, 64-9, 57-5, 48-0, 100-0, 54-0, and 40-10 against UMS. I don't think this game's going to be close.
I mean, I'm telling you, Williamson is legit.
Yeah.
They are legit. They were great last year, don't get me wrong, but they are really, really good this year. And I genuinely have not seen anything like it. I mean, I could 100% see Williamson going and winning the whole thing this year.
Yes.
I don't think there's a team that could even touch them.
Yep.
It's just, I don't even have words.
No, I don't think this game's going to be close, to be honest. And I could very well be wrong. Been wrong many times.
No. So this is the thing. We study and we look at stats and we watch these games. We are by no means professionals.
Yeah.
The people that play in these games and coach in these games, they know more than we do any given day of the week. But
Williamson has just looked so dominant this year, and
yeah.
I don't see that stopping this week, because I think Viger in some of their tougher games has looked rough at times,
Yeah.
and they lost a lot of talent from last year's team.
Still have a lot.
Still have a lot of talent, no doubt. I mean, Sammy Dunn, Demetrius Johnson, Dylan Jackson, those guys are legit. Garrett Holcomb, obviously Chicken on defense.
Chicken.
Yeah, so Isaac McNeil, who was a player I was high on in the preseason, he's been awesome at linebacker for them. I think they're kind of walking into a buzzsaw here, and I think Williamson really wants to beat them, because had Williamson beat Viger last year, I think they would have been the 1 seed, I believe, in Region 1. So they've got a lot to play for. Viger's been here, done that. Not to say they're not motivated, but I think Williamson really wants to get back to state championship competing, So.
And this is a crosstown rivalry. I mean, these teams are not far from one another at all.
Right.
So, yeah, I guarantee you that parking is going to be a nightmare out at Ladd on Friday night. So, if you're planning on going, get there early.
Don't tailgate, though.
Don't tailgate. They don't want you to tailgate. It's going to get chaotic.
Yeah.
These are two teams that I said it, crosstown rivalry. It's going to get chippy.
Mm-hmm.
When you have it's not just the fact that this is the number 1 team and the number 2 team in 5A Region 1. I mean, these teams are in each other's backyard. These kids know each other.
Yep.
This rivalry games get chippy, and that's the only reason why I could see that it could potentially stay close and not be. That's the only reason, because rivalry games, that's the real chaos.
Yep.
It just you just really never know.
Yep.
So this is one I'm excited to see.
Yeah, no doubt.
I feel like we've gotten to see the trailer all season long, watching both of them play. To finally the premiere is out. We're all going to watch. I think it's going to be a great one. That is also our Eastern Shore Toyota Game of the Week.
Yes, it is.
Jason Smith is going to be there, bring you all the highlights in that one. We'll have your game preview of that one as well during Big Friday Kickoff. It's the game of the year, folks. So make sure you're watching.
Just to sort of close out 5A here, UMS, obviously we mentioned that loss to Williamson. They closed the year out with Alberta and Faith. Assuming nothing insane happens, I think they're fairly locked into that 3 seed. And then really the last thing to sort of figure out where everyone's going to sit, LaFleur and Citronelle play this week, and that'll be for the 4 spot.
It's in Citronelle, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
LaFleur has really surprised me. This is not what I expected. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said Citronelle is that number 4 seed every day of the week. LaFleur, look at them go.
Good for them.
I mean, they went from, LaFleur over the past, I don't even know how many years, but they have just struggled.
Yes.
I think they went like 2 seasons without winning a game.
Yep.
This is the first year that they have head coach Michael Perry. He's the defensive coordinator at Viger. So it seems like he's brought that Viger success over to LaFleur. It's translated, and they've won how many games this season now? 3?
Yes. 3.
In the region, at least. Yeah, so, I mean, look at them. That is a huge improvement to what we've seen in years past.
Absolutely,
so shout out to LaFleur. If they make a postseason appearance, that's the first time since
2012, I believe.
Yeah,
2013.
Good for LaFleur.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It would be interesting to see. I love Citronelle. Y'all know that I do. My Citronelle listeners, y'all know I love y'all so much. And just either way it goes, I won't be upset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I think those teams are fairly evenly matched. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Moving on to 4A. St. Michael, big win this week against Mobile Christian, who did everything they could to keep that game close.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, St. Michael, anytime that they've ever been doubted, they come back with answers and they win in these games. Yep. I think that St. Michael, especially their offense, is just on an absolute roll right now. Gunnar Rivers, I mean, the kid is just unstoppable.
Yes.
Noah Moss, Brody Jones, is it Tucker Tomlinson?
Yes.
Is that how you say his last name? I mean, they got weapons all over the field, and they believe in themselves. Like every time they step on the field, they have that belief, like, we are going to win this game. Head coach Philip Rivers said this to me. We went out to St. Michael a couple weeks ago whenever we presented Gunnar Rivers with our player of the week. And I just remember him talking about it. He just said that they believe in themselves. He said, even when I have doubt, they're like, nah, coach, we're good.
Right.
We got it. I mean, even when these games get close, even when you think, oh my goodness, like the opponent might have it, these guys, they're just calm.
Yeah.
They just know. It's like that unrelenting belief in themselves. Like they're continuing to win games. I think St. Michael is doing something extremely special this season, and they've got another important one this week.
Pensacola.
JK, it's not. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm thinking about Jackson and WS Neal.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
But they do play.
Pensacola.
St. Michael plays Pensacola Catholic on Thursday at home, and then how do they round out the season?
Orange Beach and UMS. So a fun little last week non-region game.
That St. Michael UMS one is always a fun one to watch.
And with this chaos on grass, against this St. Michael offense, there could be a lot of points in this game.
I think that one will probably be a track meet if I had to guess.
That'll be a fun one.
But yeah, I'm high on St. Michael right now. I really am. So shout out to the Cardinals, head coach Philip Rivers. I mean, I think they have the potential to go win it all. I think that their biggest competition along the way is going to be Jackson when they have to face them again, because it's very hard to beat a team twice. Yep. That's in any sport.
Yep.
So I just think that if they keep doing what they're doing, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I think they should win out the rest of the season. I can see it. I mean, UMS is probably going to be their most difficult test besides Jackson,
though,
but non-region matchup.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think they've locked up that number 1 seed. I think they're going to be, even if they have to play Jackson again, I think they should still be favored in that game. They're just clicking on all cylinders right now, and it doesn't matter. What I've loved about them this year is we saw it earlier on in the season with. Sorry, Emily's blowing her nose right now.
I'm not really blowing. I'm just.
We saw St. Michael's earlier on in this season. They've gotten hit in the mouth a few times, like whether it be Jackson, whether it be WS Neal, whether it be Mobile Christian last week, and they just grind, keep coming, and persevere and pull these games out. And, that is a huge step from, I think, a season before where, as soon as they took the field against Jackson last year and Jackson hit them in the mouth, there was no coming back in those games. You know what I mean? And they've got a resilience about them this year that I think even if they played Jackson again, I think St. Michael would still win that. They seem destined to win 4A this year in the playoffs.
Their mentality has just changed. Like, the way that they look at it, their belief in themselves, I think for the last few seasons, everybody's been talking about Jackson. And don't get me wrong, they're still in the conversation, but now I think everybody's saying St. Michael, St. Michael,
Right,
St. Michael.
right.
And it's just, they're a fun team to watch. They really
Heck yeah.
are, because Gunnar really is so talented, and the weapons he has at his disposal. I mean, it's just, they're a fun team to watch. And I mean, so is Jackson. I don't want to take anything away.
Yeah.
They are also fun to watch, but Gunnar is a little more disciplined, and that game against Jackson was the best game of probably his high school career to date, and him and his dad both said that. So like, yeah, they're just, St. Michael's really fun to watch right now, and I'm going to be excited to see them round out their season, and then what they're going to look like in the postseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Jackson, they took care of Orange Beach this week, 41-0.
No problems there.
EJ Crowell, our player of the week.
102 yards, 7 carries, 4 touchdowns. I mean, you're 102 yards and 7 carries.
One of the nastiest highlights you'll see, too.
He hurdles over kids.
Yes.
Like, this is a grown man playing with boys.
Yeah.
Like, Coach Flo said it, if you watch Player of the Week. I mean, Alabama is, they're going to get what they pay for. Like,
right.
this boy is so talented. He does it every single week. And it wins. It doesn't matter if their team's winning or losing. Like, he's the one that's always putting up. He's consistent. He shows up with a dominant performance. Even when he had his ankle tweaked in the Mobile Christian game. Still, I mean, his stats each week are insane. He puts 300-plus yards up against St. Michael, and they still lose. And then he puts this amount of yards up on an Orange Beach team on 7 carries. 4 touchdowns. It's just his highlights. He's also someone who's really fun to watch. Just extremely talented. I think he's gonna, when he gets to Alabama, he's gonna start.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't see how he couldn't. He's just a bowling ball, like firing through these kids. Like that is a grown man playing with boys.
Yes,
and he is so fun to watch. And I mean, Coach Flo's very high, speaks very highly of him. And I do have a soundbite from them that we'll get to in just a bit whenever we kind of wrap up talking about Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, and they set up a matchup with WS Neal this week, who took care of Escambia County 51-6. This is essentially for second place in the region. WS Neal played St. Michael very tough earlier in the year. They've looked really good. Their only losses are to St. Michael and then to a Florida team in Bluntstown. I think this game's going to be close, and I think WS Neal can absolutely win this game. I don't think they will, but I think they will surprise people at how close they keep this. But those 3 teams, for the most part, should be locked into the playoffs. With this, the 4th spot, Mobile Christian Orange Beach play this week. That will determine who is in that 4th place. I think Mobile Christian should take care of Orange Beach. I think they have been a step below these other 4 teams for most of the year.
I think Mobile Christian is better than like people kind of give them credit for. They're just playing against these really, really good 4A teams, but I think they're right there with them. It's neck and neck. Like, I think you get them into the postseason, let them go knock out a couple people from Montgomery, Birmingham, whatever. I think that they're better than what we're seeing on paper.
Yeah, no doubt. And so if Mobile Christian beats Orange Beach, they'll close their region schedule with WS Neal, and that'll be for either the 3rd spot or the 4th spot. So a little bit of movement left. Technically still 1 playoff spot open, but I think once Mobile Christian wins this week, I think that should wrap that up. Because Orange Beach closes with St. Michael, which I don't see that being relevant.
I don't either. I mean, but I will say, I think Jackson was mad about losing that game to St. Michael.
Yeah.
I think they were ticked. I think that's probably why they did so much damage on Orange Beach. And I said it last week, like, I don't want to be the team that has to play Jackson next. I really don't. And then Orange Beach did, and you see the result, 41-0. I mean, Jackson is mad, and they're fired up, and they're thinking about they're thinking about the postseason, and they're thinking about playing St. Michael again. Yeah. But ultimately, they have to take care of business this week against a very good WS Neal team. And Jackson Aggies head coach Coach Flo, Cody Flournoy.
Yep.
I went out and talked to him whenever I presented EJ Crowell with our player of the week, and we talked a little bit about this game and looking ahead. I was like, what's the mindset in the locker room this week? I mean, you come off a loss to St. Michael, and then you come back and dominate Orange Beach. Like, that's a lot of highs and lows, a lot of emotion over the past couple weeks. So, what's been kind of the mindset in the locker room this week? So we got to chat a little bit about that. So let's hear what head coach Cody Flournoy had to say about this week's matchup.
Yeah, coming off that loss with St. Michael, it was all about us getting better at who we are and trying to get back to that game. I think we'll see a rematch with St. Michael in the playoffs. That would be that's our goal. And so for that to happen, we got to get better at what we're doing. So we went back to work last week. It was a short week, but the guys were locked in and focused. And I think you've seen that on a short week on a Thursday night where we scored in special teams and offense, and then the defense had a shutout. So, just an all-around good game for us. And then we go into this week against Neal, and we're trying to repeat that and just stacking days and games and just trying to get better going into the playoffs.
Neal also looks good this season. What are going to be the keys going into this matchup to beat this team? Yeah,
they're much improved. They just keep getting better. They're a playoff team, and it's actually a good matchup. Their speed versus our speed, and we got to go over there. So we're treating it like a road playoff game. It's a team that we know is a playoff team, and so that's our mindset going into it. How do we handle going into a hostile environment that's against a quality opponent?
All right, guys, that was Jackson Aggies head coach, Coach Flo, as the guys call him. I just want to quickly wrap up with him before we transition into 3A. His relationship with his players is so fun to watch.
Right.
Just getting to see they just seem like a very tight-knit group, very close. You can see that and feel that energy every time you go out there and just get to be around them, which we don't get to do very often because they are an hour and 15 minutes from the station.
Right.
But every time you go up there, those guys, they are a very tight-knit group, and that's very evident. So just want to wrap up with that. Wish them the best of luck as they go up against a very talented WS Neal team this week. I think that kind of does it for 4A. Let's go ahead and get into 3A. We had a very big win for Bayside Academy last week over Cottage Hill Christian.
Yeah, our game of the week. I got some heat from Eli Boswell, a very talented sophomore over there at Bayside.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was a little too in on Cottage Hill and Bayside. They showed why they were one of the best teams in 3A last week. This game was close early, and then Bayside just kind of pulled away and ended up winning this top 10 matchup 25-7. Davis Barnett, he's been our player of the week before. 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. They really kind of contained Shamar Tootle, who has been one of the best passers in 3A this year for Cottage Hill. He was 13 for 22, 86 yards, no touchdowns. Didn't run the ball as much as he usually does. He only had 23 yards on the ground on 6 carries. Bayside's the real deal. They are the real deal. They can run the ball when they need to. Davis Barnett has been an elite passer, especially as a sophomore down here in 3A. And they, I think for the most part have kind of grabbed this number 1 spot. All they really need to do is beat TR Miller in 2 weeks, which
I think they can do.
I think they can do.
I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah, you never want to underestimate a team like TR Miller, who has the pedigree that they've got. But, they lost to Cottage Hill 28-14, and, seeing what Bayside did to them, I just think that, I think Bayside 1, Cottage Hill 2, TR Miller 3. I feel pretty confident in that. That could change a lot depending on TR Miller Bayside. But
I think if I remember the halftime score correctly when I came in and saw it, was it not 7-7 at half?
I believe so.
I think it was tied.
Yes, it was
7-7.
Yes.
So when we come back from halftime, Cottage Hill doesn't score another point.
Yeah,
Bayside
18 unanswered.
Bayside just they said, all right, no worries, we got it.
Yeah.
I think that one of the Tootle brothers was out for a second.
He was.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit shaken up.
Yes.
A little bit of an injury. I think he did get back in. Was that Shadarius?
Yes.
Okay, it was Shadarius. I think it's also interesting to know that Shadarius this past weekend went to the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Auburn hosting Georgia.
And flipped commitments.
Georgia gets the win, but they got a little L.
For the second time, I think, right?
Yeah, because he was originally committed to Auburn, flipped to Georgia, has been kind of locked in with Georgia since the summer, I'd like to say, and then goes back up, watches his future team or what we thought was his future team get a win,
Right.
and ends up flipping to Auburn. Said that he just felt like Auburn was always home, and I mean, staying in state. I think I love to see recruits do that. I love to see you stay in state, stay close to home. So good for Shadarius. It's just so interesting to me to watch high school kids these days and their decision making and what they decide, like where they ultimately end up, because there is so much of this happening now. But I'm on the Bayside Academy train.
Yep.
I do think that Cottage Hill is so talented, and like the transition, what they've done like this season in particular compared to seasons past, they're talented. They're gonna do well in the postseason.
Yep.
But Bayside Academy has solidified themselves. I think they made a statement this past week against this Cottage Hill team. Yep. You're locked up at 7-7 at halftime, and you come out of that locker room ready to go. I mean, whatever tweaks needed to be made, whatever head coach Barrett Trotter said to those guys in the locker room, I mean, to come out and score 18 unanswered points.
Yep.
I mean, shout out to the Admirals, just a heck of a game. And I think if you remember, Barrett Trotter's post-game sound, like that when we were listening to him, he was not happy.
Yeah.
He was not content with, I mean, number one, the game being tied up like that and the mistakes that were made. And, I mean, he got the win, but you could tell he was like, we have things to work on.
Yep.
Like, I'm not happy with this. Like, he not the post-game sound you're expecting.
Yeah.
From a coach that just got a massive win in the region. So that was interesting to see. Barrett
He was definitely fired up.
Yeah, when I was watching the highlights, because that was our game of the week last week.
Yep.
Dacian Smith was out there. I'm watching his recap package in the studio, and when they get to the soundbite, I think you were in my ear, and you were like, he is ticked off.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Trotter ain't happy.
No.
So I can guarantee you this week, he said he was in those boys' ear, letting them know they're tweaking those mistakes, because I think Cottage Hill is like the hardest team that they play.
Yeah, no doubt.
The hardest team they play all year. If they win out, I mean they're pretty much solidified into that number one spot.
Yeah,
they got to beat T.R. Miller, but like
they got to beat T.R. Miller, who just struggled against Excel, who's out of the playoffs. Basically, T.R. Miller beat Excel 21-14. They're on a bye this week. Bayside gets Excel, and then Cottage Hill plays Monroe County, who's 1-6. So everyone should win this week to set up a pretty interesting week 10, because Flomaton and Hillcrest play this week, and that is for the 4th spot.
Yeah.
If Flomaton were to win that game, they will then play Cottage Hill, and assuming Cottage Hill beats Monroe County, if Flomaton beat them in week 10, they would actually take the tiebreaker over Cottage Hill. And so let's say T.R. Miller beat Bayside and Cottage Hill is all of a sudden in the 3 spot. A loss to Flomaton would knock them all the way down to 4. So there's a lot of movement in those teams, but first and foremost, the main thing this week with 3A is who's going to be the 4th seed. Is it going to be Flomaton or is it going to be Hillcrest?
Interesting. So 3A could get spicy.
3A could get a little spicy. Now, Hillcrest, if they beat Flomaton, they close out with Escambia County. So they'll stay pretty firm in that 4 spot because they've already lost to Cottage Hill, they've already lost to T.R. Miller, and they've already lost to Bayside. So Flomaton obviously has lost to Bayside, we know, and T.R. Miller as well. So they have a shot to beat Cottage Hill if they beat Hillcrest Evergreen. But yeah, a little bit of movement still left in 3A. I think Bayside's the best team down there right now.
Me and Dacian are never going to let you live that Flomaton Bayside game down.
It was a good call at the time, and then Davis Barnett decided to go Super Saiyan me.
Like pull I don't know, Baker Mayfield, like Phoenix Rising from the ashes.
Yeah, I didn't like that very much. So
it's all right. It's in the past.
That's right. But anyway, shout out to the Bayside Admirals. Y'all are the best team in 3A Region 1, and I think y'all have a legit shot at winning the state title in 3A. So how about that?
Shout out to the Admirals. Shout out to Barrett Trotter. Shout out to
Eli Boswell.
Thank y'all so much for being a good and faithful listener.
Yep, absolutely.
We appreciate y'all so much. So, yeah, I think we ready to head on into 2A?
Yeah, 2A 2A was a weird week, you know. JU Blackshear beat Washington County. That was probably the biggest game. Those two are, for the most part, going to be playoff teams. Clark County still sitting at undefeated in the region in the one spot.
Look at Clark County. Look at Jason Massey
Yeah,
and the Bulldogs.
Right. I think, we're coming down to a similar situation that we had last year where St. Luke's and Chickasaw are essentially playing for the fourth spot. Neither of those teams, I don't think, are like, I don't mean to be mean, but like, I don't think either of those teams are very good. I don't see much success in the playoffs for either of them, depending on who makes it.
I just don't know how the rest of like the state looks in 2A. Like, do you think their region like it's similar to what it is down here?
Well, we don't have anyone ranked in 2A. And the team, I believe, still with the most receiving votes is JU Blackshear, who is sitting at technically third in the region. So I don't know what to make.
What was their final score against Washington County?
36-13.
And in the week before they beat
St. Luke's 51-16.
Yeah, 51-16.
But
and that was a game that was tied at half.
Yes.
And JU Blackshear came back and just roaring out of the locker room and handled business there. So yeah, maybe JU Blackshear, they're a team to keep an eye on.
I think they are good. I thought they were good coming into the year, and they lost to Clark County 21-0. And Clark County still has St. Luke's and Washington County to close the year of region play out. So a lot of movement left in that region. I don't feel particularly good with the order of that region. I do feel pretty confident it's going to be Clark County, Washington County, and JU Blackshear.
But whether or not it's Chickasaw or St. Luke's, you're not sure.
Chickasaw or St. Luke's,
Okay,
not
fair
100% sure.
1A, on the other hand.
Yeah, 1A is interesting. 1A is interesting. We got Leroy, who's pretty much locked up a playoff spot. I think they've mostly locked up the top spot in that region, barring something crazy happening.
Ka-chow. I'm just saying, the Bears, like the Leroy Bears, Chandlo, they're ginning up there.
Yep.
That's what a saying my dad uses, ginning. They're ginning up there in Leroy.
Well, there you go. Shout out to your dad. The big one this week is Southern Choctaw and Millery play each other. That's going to determine who's 2 and who's 3 in that region. If Millery were to lose that game, they would actually drop to 4th unless McIntosh lost. So
who's your pick? What do you think?
I think Southern Choctaw beats Millery, and I think
you've been high on Southern Choctaw all season.
Yeah, they're good. Their defense is legit. I think they're really, really good.
We just realized how far they are from us.
Yeah, we did.
What's it, an hour and 40?
Yes.
That's wild. That's what it is when you get to all these like lower classifications, like how far away everybody is. Like, I wish we had little time machines or like portals. We could just like get to these places quickly so we could see them play more, you know?
I know. Sweetwater still has an outside shot, but I don't think that they're making the playoffs, which would be the first time since 2000 that Sweetwater did not make the playoffs.
And we were so high on them at the beginning of the season.
Well, they're hard not to be. They're a perennial winner in 1A. I think they have like the 3rd most titles in state history out of any school. They've won a lot of those post 2000. It's just kind of a crazy fall for that team who was good last year. I mean, they were as good as they usually are last year. But shout out to McIntosh. It seems like McIntosh is going to get a playoff spot unless they kind of blow it here at the end, which I don't think they will.
Yep.
And then, I think Southern Choctaw takes care of Millery this week, and Millery is traveling for a playoff game as opposed to hosting one, which I think they probably thought they were going to do before the year.
Yeah.
1A, it's going to be Leroy. It's going to be Southern Choctaw hosting, I think, and then it's going to be Millery and McIntosh traveling. Now, if Millery were to beat Southern Choctaw, we would have a 3-way tie because McIntosh beat Millery and Millery beat Southern Choctaw, but Southern Choctaw beat McIntosh. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on in 1A.
Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? A
lot of fun stuff going on in 1A.
What joy. What joy.
Well,
I'm excited to see like where everybody from every classification, who ends up going where, seated where, who's hosting, who's got to travel. Like, that's when it really gets interesting because we have the thing when it comes to the postseason and we have teams that travel pretty far away. we have to like exchange highlights with our sister stations,
yeah.
and that's when things get really fun because we're like waiting. They're waiting for our highlights. We're waiting for theirs.
Well, and it's also it feels like the start of like a brand new season because
It really does.
You get so entrenched in your teams like we do with Region 1.
Yeah.
And then you gotta go learn about all these other teams and all these other regions and what they do well and who they've lost to and who they've beaten. And I think that's the fun part about the playoffs.
It's like starting from scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
So fun. Every team's like 0-0.
That's right.
I mean, and you lose, you're out.
Yeah.
There's no next week.
No.
So yeah, that's my favorite time of the year once we get to the postseason, and we are literally 3 weeks away from that.
3 weeks away, that's right.
That is crazy. I'm just excited for whatever conversations we're going to be having after this week,
Yeah.
and then in the basically this week and next week. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're going to have our answers.
And then we should have some big playoff preview thing. We need to start thinking about how we want to do that.
I'm going to keep my cards close to my chest.
Oh.
I want people to be excited.
Oh,
I
okay.
want people to be
All right,
excited.
all
But I
right.
think we could do some cool things. For
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, no doubt. Just make sure you don't keep them too close and not tell me.
That would not be possible.
That made it seem like you had some plan concocted already.
Oh no, you and I have plans concocted.
Yeah.
The viewers will get to know.
That's right.
It's growing. Like that makes me so happy that people like actually tune in and want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, we gotta keep it good.
Yeah, and I think we're doing our best to give equal love. Shout out to all our teams that are just absolutely dominating this season. Y'all are so fun to watch every single week. I think I can speak for Robert and myself is like this is what like makes us happy to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Is to watch you guys compete and every single Friday, Thursday and Friday. I mean, it's just this is my favorite time of the year. I think October is my favorite month out of the year every year because of sports in general. So yeah, just a great time.
Yeah. All right. So real quick before we get out of here, where are we going this week?
Big Friday Kickoff is headed to the Eastern Shore. We have a huge rivalry in 7A between Daphne and the Fairhope Pirates. It's going to be played at Volanta Park. Kenny King, Tim Carter going head to head for that Jubilee Cup.
Yep.
And only one team gets to take it home, and only one team has the bragging rights for the next year.
That's
right. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. Nicholas Herboso is a Fairhope graduate, so he's got some skin in the game. He's going to be excited. We're going to be out there on the pirate ship.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of plans concocted. If you all see Nick get shot out of the cannon, don't be surprised, okay? It might happen.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Nick like a stunt double or something because he absolutely would do it.
Yes.
He's like Evel Knievel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're super excited for that. We'll start going live at 3, 3:15, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30. The band and the cheerleaders are going to join us, I think, at 5 and 5:30. We're hopefully going to have some players join us for an interview. Hopefully, head coach Tim Carter is going to sit down with us. I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I'm excited to go out here and cover this one. And then, of course, we have our Eastern Shore Toyota Game of the Week. Dacian Smith going to Ladd for this 5A battle between Beyer and Williamson. That one, I've said it, I think it's the game of the year. And then we also have a pivotal 7A matchup. MGM hosting Baker out in Sims. It's going to be a great week of high school football. We have a lot of other games definitely to keep an eye on. But, yeah, I mean, week 9 is jam-packed, full of action, and we are looking forward to it.
I think and digitally we'll have our halftime show, which we always send a push notification to, so make sure you've got those. I think Dacian should have a really good extended preview this week from Ladd, so keep an eye out for that push notification as well. After our 5 o'clock news, he will go live from Ladd with a full breakdown, go through the players, the stats, the teams, all the kind of good stuff live on the field. May have some sound bites from coaches and whatnot. So, yeah, I think this is a big week, big next few weeks. But I think we're powering through, having a good time.
Yeah, make sure to watch me and Nick's Facebook Live after.
Oh, yeah, and Emily and Nick's Facebook Live at like 5:45, right?
It's literally like as soon as we get done with Big Friday Kickoff, like all the players have started to take the field and start warming up. So me and Nick try and get to show y'all some video of the players and coaches taking the field and just kind of quick recap of the day.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we wrap up, typically Dacian starts his thing. And then, of course, we'll have that halftime show and then all the highlights. We do have college football on Fox this Friday. We will be going on later.
Yep.
So make sure you have those push notifications
Yes.
turned on so you can be sure to tune in. We'll bring you all the top highlights, all the top plays. Me, Dacian Smith, Hustlin' Hal Sherrick, the dream team,
Yep.
you in the booth, David Cole, all our photogs. Shout out to Hayden Height. Just absolutely, they've been crushing it this season, and we're
Yep.
so grateful for our team. We could not do it without them, and I don't get to say that enough. We would not have the show that we have each and every week
That's right.
without all of you guys behind the
Absolutely.
scenes that
Yep.
make it look so great.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. And keep an eye out for news reporter Natalie Williamson. She may pop up at one of your games.
Yeah, Fox 10
taking
first
some
snaps.
photos. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's also been crushing
Yeah.
it. She couldn't do it the week before because she just got married.
She's on her honeymoon.
She was on her honeymoon in Disney World.
Yep.
So shout out to Natalie. Congratulations to her and Andrew. But
Yep.
yeah, keep an eye out for Fox 10 first snaps. We'll let y'all know where we're sending her this week. I think that's going to be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it always is. They just
Yeah.
kind of show up on our Facebook page, so.
Yeah, they're awesome shots.
They are.
But anyways, thank y'all so much for being with us here on the Big Friday Kickoff podcast. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Restano, and we will see y'all tomorrow night.